Hello, welcome to the shed in the garden at the house that sat down. Now today I thought it would be quite useful to look at the specifics of painting eyes. So as you may have seen from previous videos, I'm partway through a very large canvas with a couple of quirky llamas on it. And I've done the background and I've drawn the llamas in. But now it's a question of actually mixing the right colours to get the right effect with the eyes. And that's what I'm going to show you now. I'm using Mars Black, Titanium White, Burnt Sienna, Burnt Umber, Raw Umber and a little bit of Portrait Pink to paint the eyes on my llama. Okay, I'm starting here with the Burnt Sienna, just marking out the iris around the pupil. Now I'm going in with the Mars Black for the pupil, nice solid black, remembering to leave the white section for the reflection in the eyes. You can see me painting in the two white squares with a little white dash underneath. Now I'm coming in now with the burnt umber and darkening an element of the iris, especially the section in close to the pupil and around the back at the very bottom, but I'm still leaving a lighter swathe of that burnt sienna to run through the iris, and that gives the eye the depth. Back in with the other eye with the pupil, again leaving the blocks of light. You can see them there. Okay, in with the burnt sienna again, around. The iris, darker at the back and at the bottom and close into the pupil. But making sure that that lovely, lovely reddy brown colour shows through lighter in certain sections as well. And going in with the white, just to make that look. That little white dash underneath both of those blocks is actually quite clever as well. That adds an extra something to it. A bit more white there. Okay. Now with this sort of character, of course, it's not a terribly lifelike, realistic llama, so we can have a little bit of fun with the eyelashes. Whether he's a boy llama or a girl llama, he's got lovely eyelashes and it really does make the eye look very appealing. It's almost cartoon-like in these proportions. And you can see, again, as I've mentioned, I tend with these sorts of paintings to make the eyes quite a little bit larger than they would normally be. Because again it draws you into the painting and makes the character more appealing. In this case I think these eyes are at least 25% bigger than they would normally be. Now around the eye I'm actually going in with a mix of grey and white, and then I will be touching in a certain amount of the Portrait Pink, and it's entirely up to you how you do this. I have to confess I've never actually stood terribly close to a llama. I don't really know what their eyes look like in detail up close. So I've just worked out a way that I think he looks quite cute. But ultimately, whatever I put around the eye, I'm going to be fading to a white, and then when I paint the llama, the white will then fade into whatever colour I need. So you can see I'm just bringing lights and darks around the eye, and working with a very small brush to encourage how I think his eyes should look. There's no real hard and fast rule to this, and it's quite fun to just build it very, very slowly with a small brush. And if you put too much of the one colour in, just give it a few minutes and go over it with a correction colour. My llama does usually end up looking like he's wearing eyeliner and mascara, but that's not a problem. Moving into a slightly lighter grey around there, again with that slightly pink tinge to it. I'll keep working round and round until I feel that his eyes look even and I can really feel the character of my little llama looking back out at me. I'm working in the same way on the other side now, making sure he looks balanced. It's nice to be able to build a little bit of shadow in under the eyelids as well. So it really is a question of working with your highlights and lowlights to balance to make it look more three-dimensional. Once I've put the eyes onto my character and I feel that he's really on the way there, I very often then work with the muzzle area and the inside of the ears, because that's the same mix of these paints, using that portrait pink, the white and the black to make greys, and sometimes a little bit of brown as well. And while I've got the paint out, it's quite useful to do those sections because it often dries quite quickly. Now, the other thing to mention, of course, if, like me, you're working in quite hot conditions at the moment, a little bit of water on the brush will help with any blending. Not too much, because you're not using watercolours, and this particular technique is more of a dry technique. But I do find that the paints actually dry far too quickly in very, very hot weather. So if you are struggling to get things to blend in the way that they would normally, I would suggest that you actually add a little bit of water, and it should improve the situation. So very quickly finishing my other llama's eyes in here. I think this is a little lady llama. She's got eyelashes as well. Really rather cute. Again, bringing the grey in around the eyes. Lights and darks, balancing. Now there will be shadows in around the eyes because there are lots of different folds of skin as the eyelid opens and folds back. But as I say, this is more of a cartoony type style of painting. Now here we go with the muzzle. Again, using the same mix of grey and white, with a little touch of pink. And the darker grey for outlining specific areas, and even some black in there ultimately. So we're really building up the contours of the muzzle as it comes towards you, so there will be areas of highlight with the white. The pink is more fleshy tone. Very often animals will have very, very short fur on the actual muzzle, so you can see the skin through it. Building around and pulling the nose back towards the eyes now, so we've got quite a bit of depth there. The nostrils themselves and the actual mouth in black, and then just working around again with different greys, different balances of whites and grey. Okay, so I'm going to move up to the ear now. Now under the cartilage there will be grey, and very often the larger section of the ear is very, very thin, so you might see the light coming through it, and so you might see more of, again, of this sort of pinky tinge of skin through the fur in the ear. And again, we're looking for depth so that it makes it look like the shadow is in and around and under that flap of the ear. So we're starting initially with quite broad strokes with quite a thick brush, and I'm going to just blend these different sections together until I'm happy with them. And then I will go in with a much darker grey into the section of the depth of the ear. Now my llama has got eyes and ears and muzzle, and the next video I will start to have some fun putting the actual coloured fur over the top. So now my llama has two colourful eyes, and I'm going to leave that for the time being and get back to it another time. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, stay safe.